Welcome to Bench, an informal discussion with modelers and others in the hobby industry from their bench, featuring the hosts of the Scale Model podcast, Anthony Goodman and Stuart Clark.
Okay, welcome to episode 3 of Bench. Tonight I have with me the terror himself, Terry Miesle. Welcome to the show, Terry. How are you doing?
Thanks, Anthony. Doing great.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Terry's a guy that I met at Wonderfest a long time ago because I've only been a few sporadic trips, but you're a real regular. You make it there every year, right?
I try to, yeah. Well,
and
missed a couple, but not many.
Yeah. Oh, things do come up, but yeah. And Terry's been. Sorry.
First one was 99.
Oh wow! Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. I think we met around 2006. I want to say.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So Terry also does a lot of clinics at Wonderfest, which are just amazing. I've attended a couple myself. Definitely one on it was figure painting, glazing, and different finishes. And I think another one. I remember doing photographs for you, and you guys were talking. It was another painting seminar, I think.
That was another painting one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, we did AVs and painting. Mark and I did 2 of those.
Okay, yeah, right on.
And it was nuts. I had to drag so much stuff with me to the show. It was all weekends, like never again, just one.
Oh wow, yeah.
And they've cut the number of seminars down, but increased the. So now they're all essentially given 2-hour blocks.
Oh, okay, that's a good runtime.
It has helped, yeah.
Yeah, because you can get really in depth into one topic. I like that. That's awesome.
And it gives you time for questions.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because that's so critical to kind of like actually gleaning some info. Yeah, very cool. So, so far I've been starting off these bench to bench sessions with kind of a brief history of paint. So, can you give us a little rundown? Kind of where did you start? Where are you now?
Yeah, so started as a kid back in the Tester's Square bottle days.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
At that time, I grew up in Cincinnati, and there was a model shop, Golf Manor Hobbies, which was a train shop, but they carried a lot of supplies, and they carried flow quills as well.
Okay.
So I got used to the flow quill lacquers.
Okay.
And when you're brush painting and such, one layer bites into the next layer, and it makes a lot. And this is before I had an airbrush. My dad was a model builder, and he had, I don't know where he stored them, but he had all these ship models in cardboard boxes. And of course, as kids, we just destroyed them all.
Yeah.
They were unpainted anyway. They were just assembled with Tester's glue from back in the 50s or 60s.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Probably 50s. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But he gave us a lot of pointers on how not to, take fingers off and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. From there, moved on to Model Masters a lot.
Yes.
A lot of those. And then that took me up like through college and such, where it was a little bit of a break, but I did pick back up, especially figures. And, the D&D miniatures, Starship miniatures, those sort of thing to support games mostly, but also just to paint, to have fun with.
Oh, so you kept on the construction part of that. Because I remember kind of the 90s too being not everyone who was gaming was model building. You could just buy pre-made ones, right? And just go?
We were playing a lot of BattleTech.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons and such. So you had all the Grenadier and the Ralpartha and Thassa miniatures and such. The good old legends where the nacelles would just droop over time.
Yeah. Okay. And you had to paint, like construct and paint them, right? Like all the playing pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I still have a bunch of those. I haven't got rid of anything. And I'm not going to repaint them because they're kind of a piece of history, right? They're stuff I painted in grade school and high school in my cabinet upstairs.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
It's a point along the journey, right? So, no harm in seeing that.
Should I repaint that? It's like, no. Paint a new one.
Yeah. Keep moving forwards.
That's right. Right. Remember where you were, because when you were 12 years old, that was that was really good for a 12-year-old, you know.
Yeah, of course, right? Like, yeah.
Learn how to dry brush. Learn how to, maybe my dad told me how to brush. I don't know. Actually, my grandma might have. She did porcelain.
Okay.
Not porcelain, but ceramic figures and some lamps and things like that. And it's, a lot of washes and glazes and dry brushes and such. And she was really good.
So crossover skills, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's the same skills.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Exactly. Yeah, different subjects. Oh, right on. So what are you using these days?
I am using mostly Vallejo's right now.
Okay. So Model Air.
Model Air. I mostly buy the Model Air because it's pre-thinned already. And
Yeah.
painting miniatures is all about thinning. And Jay Aiden started playing with these and goes, they're already halfway thinned. So I'm just going to use those. So you don't have to spend as much time sitting on your palette thinning the stuff down to the right consistency.
Okay.
We used our club, the Tech Mages, used to help with iHobby Expo. We used to do make and takes.
Yes.
With that. They were airbrush make and takes.
Oh, wow.
Kids who have never played with airbrush how to use an airbrush. And it's hilarious. Such a stereotype, but the girls were really good at it. They picked it. They watched as you showed them how to do something, and then they did it. And the boys are trying to use it like a marker, putting it right up there and trying to scrape it all over the piece. I'm like, back here, keep pulling them back, keep pulling them back.
No, that's interesting. I remember volunteering for make and takes at the last time I was at Wonderfest. And it was strictly just like you could pick a simple kit and the volunteers would just kind of sit with the kit and you kind of go through instructions, nippers and glue. Yeah. And I think some of them were even just snap fit. Like you could skip the glue and that was enough. Like it was still a challenge.
So, at iHobby, it was Tag Team, Tom Grossman.
Yes.
His group, he would bring all the setup, the demo setup, and we would, CO2 tanks and all that. And
oh my goodness.
We would do that and we'd get our club members and just have a lot of fun. It's a long day.
I bet.
On busy days, we would have one guy, usually Neil, because he's not quite as good at working with the kids as much, but it's essentially just cleaning every airbrush as it goes along. He'd start here, clean that one, clean that one, clean that one, clean.
Oh yeah.
Go back, clean, or rotate them out. He would take it, swap it out, and clean it. And
that's funny.
Just all day long.
Oh man. So are you using Model Air for airbrushing and painting applications, or?
Yeah.
No kidding, eh? And you're loving it.
Yeah, it's just pre-thinned.
Wow. Okay. And you're finding it's working well in both applications.
Yeah. Also, I'll use Reaper. I'll use Secret Weapon when I'm doing figures, when I'm brush painting.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of those. Are those like specific to
Secret Weapon.
Cool.
This stuff here, this dark sepia wash and their soft body black wash, are two things you must have on your bench.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
And
never heard of that. That's cool.
Right? Yeah, they've got dry pigments. They got a dry pigment set as well.
Oh, that's
really useful.
Are they from the States or?
They're States, and they started out mostly doing bases, pre-made bases for miniatures.
Oh, okay.
Really nice, a whole variety of them. If you go on the website, Secret Weapon Miniatures, you'll see it. And they post videos too on Facebook.
We'll put the link up.
Yeah. I'll definitely throw those guys. And I was talking with him about it, and he's like, his washes, they just work better than the Vallejo's or the other ones.
Okay.
He goes, yeah, and I don't remember who he mentioned, but he said, we inherited, or whatever, this guy's formula for making these washes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they got a whole spectrum of them.
It's so nice when the thing works as advertised and it just does what you want. Oh, that's such a good feeling, in a project.
Yeah, it's really tolerant. I'll mix it with Future sometimes. I'll mix it with
like to glossing it up or to flat it, or glaze making.
To thin it down. Glaze medium. There's another glaze medium.
Yes.
So I'm sure I talked about this at one time.
Yes, you did.
It is essentially just an unpigmented paint.
Ah,
So you thin a paint down to the point where the sludge wash, which I hate. I hate the term sludge.
yeah, I don't really have a lot of use for that
It's a
idea.
glaze that's been thinned down to the point where the pigments fall out of suspension.
Yeah.
And this is what you thin it with to get it back in suspension, to keep them in suspension. Because this is just
Okay.
unpigmented paint base.
Huh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Interesting. Yes, I remember you guys, you and Mark, Youngblood, right?
Yeah.
Were very detailed in your clinics and explaining how things worked, why they worked, and it was just fascinating. It was really awesome. So of course, if anyone's at attending Wonderfest, you must seek out Terry's clinics and check them out. They are not to be missed.
Yeah, there's
Another,
electronics for figure painting, for dinosaur painting.
Yeah.
I always all the painting ones.
yes, there's such a wide variety.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And another thing that I wanted to talk about with you was I call it Aves, but maybe I'm wrong. The AV Sculpey and is it
I call
AVs?
it AVs. Whatever.
AVs?
Yeah.
Like
The genera for birds, AVs.
Okay. Yeah. So a while ago, I think Stu and I had Sculpey in our Talking Tools segment.
Mm-hmm.
And which I got my first pack at Wonderfest years ago. It's still holding out strong. I should use it more often. But and you immediately because you're a good friend of the show, you're a listener and a Patreon, and you messaged me and said, "Oh, I know a ton of cool things you can do with AVs." And I said, "Yeah, I wanna hear more about that." So this is a great opportunity. Can you give us some ideas of more advanced stuff you can do with it?
So the key to remember AVs and these other epoxy putties, and I started out using Milliput, then A&B, and some of the other ones, and AVs eventually started marketing to the modelers as a product that was built for this. Like A&B was super hard. It was harder than the styrene around it, which made it difficult to work with.
Yes.
So super fine grain. And Milliput, said about that. But
it's a hard no.
The figure sculptors use other things like Procreate, like green stuff.
Yes.
And I've used those for different purposes.
Neatite is another, Neatite. I always akin. I liken it to that same. It's like a 2-part epoxy.
Yeah.
Which I don't have any, but I've used it.
Yeah, it started out as plumber's putty, the tape type ones, and those other, for plumbers to fix things that.
Like emergency.
Well, you're a plumber, you know it.
Yeah,
right?
I would never use that stuff, but I can see in an emergency situation, I don't know, maybe you desperately. I mean, really, we would just turn the water off and then fix it, but I don't know.
So I don't know. Maybe back in the day they would use it for stuff, but
maybe emergency leaks, because isn't it it cures regardless of whether it's wet or dry?
Yes and no. So it is an amine catalyzed reaction. It's a dehydration reaction.
Okay.
In the water, which just means you got 2 parts. There's a catalyst in one, and there's the media in the other one.
Yes.
They mix it together, and over time they cure. It's a dehydration reaction.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it knocks water off, and it makes these big random polymers, which makes it super strong.
Yes. Okay.
Machinable. So if you're filling something on an airplane or something, and that part's going to flex a little bit, you back with AVs, and it's just never going to back. It's never going to change.
It becomes rigid. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I should amend my earlier statement. We do use plumber's putty all the time, but it's usually to make a seal, never to stop water. I mean, it does stop water, but it still always has a little bit of. It never dries out. It has a flex. It would never have a modeling application. The stuff that I use at work. But anyway, just an aside.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you use it to you could rigid up or stiffen up a certain sub-assembly.
Right. You can back a piece. Let's say you want to. I use it a lot if I've got this Archer class here, and the pylons, they just set in maybe 6 millimeters.
That's resin. Was it a solid resin?
Okay. It's resin. It's partially solid. So there is.
Okay.
This is, and actually I backed in here as well with it as well.
Okay.
But in this I drilled out into into the fuselage here.
Yes.
And then I put a couple of essentially small screws into this.
Oh, okay.
So they've got detail it can grab onto.
Yes.
Then I put them together, put AVs on both sides of it, squished it together, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's mostly filling those cavities, and the cavities kind of go crosswise in there.
Okay.
So AVs kind of pushes down into it.
Yep.
And then you got a physical pin that sits in there as well.
Yeah.
So these things are not going anywhere.
Nice. And I mean, exactly, like nacelles on starships, wings, all, like, you know, there's always those weird details on certain types of things that
and there was
stick out, right?
There was a big gap on this piece here, and that's where AV goes in. I push it in there and I smooth it down with alcohol, smooth it down with water, leave it sit.
Interesting.
And then give it a primer coat and see how it looked, and went back to it.
Yeah.
So that whole landing bit there was not great. I mean, if I look at it under the light just now because it's glossy, I can see a little bit. But once it's hit with dull coat,
you got it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know there's really detailed shots of your build on Facebook of the Sagittarius. Sagittarius? Yeah.
Pardon?
The Sagittarius. No.
It is the Artemis, but it's in that. Yeah, the Sagittarius is the one from the series. The series of books. Yeah.
Okay. So the specific ship you're doing is the
Artemis.
Artemis. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. It's a really neat build. It's very cool.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a nice Greek labyrinth border because I think these ships especially need some personality.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but the small ships, I mean, this is a 14-person crew. They got to have something to look at.
Yeah. You know what? We were just interviewing a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, a tank commander, and this hasn't come out yet, but so I won't name names yet, but he was talking about how the crews would adorn their various tanks with like an emblem, a personal emblem, a bumper sticker, whatever, right? And I asked them, I said, well, like, are you guys, was that allowed? Like, what did what did your commanders say? And they're like, no, you're not supposed to, but everyone's doing it. You know, you got to have some fun or whatever, right? When you're in stressful conditions.
I mean, the U.S. militaries in World War II, the Air Corps, everyone had stuff written all over or artwork on it, and the Navy was always, you get a number and you might get an arrow.
So I like your idea of having the sort of small detail on it, and it does kind of bring it to life a little bit. So very cool. I actually have some of the I bought the safety solvent from that Aves makes to use as the smoothing agent for the Sculpey. Is it called Sculpey?
Yeah. AV's Magic Sculpt or Super Sculpt. Sculpey is a polymer clay.
Okay, so it's not Sculpey. I have the two-part. It's the what's it actually called?
Magic Sculpt or he's modeling putty, I think.
Yes, that's the one. Because it's the. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Magic Sculpt is a different brand. It's a similar product, but a different brand.
Okay. I've got my little pack. Next time I'll buy more. So this one actually says it's called AV's Epoxy Sculpt Modeling Compound. Yeah. So this is probably the one you use, right? The two-part. Yeah. It is awesome.
Is that the white colored one?
Yeah. It's got like a whitish.
The base stuff is kind of a neutral gray color. And there's a whitening agent put in there, titanium dioxide or something. But what's nice about that is that you can tint it. You can tint it with India ink.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. It's kind of a weird brown, like yellowy gray.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That stuff cures white with that one.
Yes, it does. That's correct. Yeah. So I did use it actually on the Moscato Hobby models, Quaidlin Rao. I did the or Row or Rao. I'm not even sure how it's supposed to. But the I guess you'd call it like the fuselage cover or the hatch.
Mm-hmm.
It had some alignment issues going in where. So he's created this kit so that if you care to, you could have it open.
Right.
And then there'd be a bust of Miesle inside it, the pilot. So it was like the top part popped out, and then these side panels popped up. So on either side. Anyway, I was having lit the kit. It was going to be a sealed thing because there's stuff going on inside there. And when I got down to it, there was there was a sort of prominent gap on one side.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to great effect the Epoxy Sculpt.
Yeah,
and
you just say AVs. We know what you're talking about.
The AVs, yeah. So like I smoothed it in there, and then I used the safety solvent, which I don't know. It's maybe I'm not really sure what this is made of. Maybe you do.
It's an alcohol-based thing.
Yeah. It works great though. It does let you tool nicely, and I was tooling it with claying tools, like this type of artist's claying tools. And I would get them wet and then kind of shove it in where I need it and try and smooth it off. I had to do a bit of sanding after, but I was trying to get it as close as possible to the little bit of sanding once it's hard. And
I've got sets of those, and a lot of them are two-sided, and on one side I will sand it down to a nice kind of really rigid point.
Excellent.
And that way you can come right along the edge.
Yeah.
Do a side bevel, come right down it.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like making a custom tool to, work it the way you want to.
Because those are made for clay, and clay is usually larger, but there's also silicone tools of different shapes and sizes.
I gotta get some of those.
Yeah, they're clay. They're called clay shapers.
Okay,
but they're perfect for that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Keep it wet. Remember, water will make the epoxy putties tacky. The alcohol or the safety solvent won't, so you can remove with it. And then at the very end, if you got a little bit of smuts on the parts around it, you just take a paper towel, some alcohol, and just clean the whole area off, and it's done. Let it sit and cure.
Yeah, so I found it to be a really superior kind of gap filler type of thing. That's awesome. So, okay, quickly, what are some other cool stuff with, like, we don't have to get into too much detail, but are there any other cool ways you're using the Sculpey that we haven't really touched on?
So, yeah, for AVs and others, you can roll them out. So you can get them partially cured, roll it with a polypropylene, like a confectionary's roller, or even clay shaper. Sometimes will have a pin as part of that. Your lubricant there is cornstarch or some other powder. But cornstarch is great because it just rinses right off.
Okay.
You can thin it down, and guys like Mark will show you how to make a character's cloak or jacket or something out of that.
Wow. Yeah.
And then he'll come on and he'll put more on, attach it for the sleeves and all that.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
With pieces that have so many pinholes and crap in them.
Yeah.
That never get it right. So I would thin it down. I would roll it out.
Thin.
Place it over the piece.
Oh, like a skin.
So then it's a whole just AV skin sitting over it.
Oh, nice. So it's like a nice primer base to work with almost. But, but more robust than primer.
The other thing you can do when you roll it out like that, let's say I wanted to put something up top here, but I wanted to make sure it fits exactly like that. You would either put tape over this, like packing tape, so it's nice and glossy, because that stuff will not stick to things that are super glossy. Drape it over that. Now you've got that exact spot. Then you can add more epoxy putty on it if you want, or glue stuff to it. Just take it right off, and it is the exact right shape. Trim it to size, and now you've got the piece.
Okay, so you can almost make molds with it for certain.
You can make molds with it.
Oh wow!
They're usually not great detail, but if let's say
quick and dirty.
Yeah, or you wanted that a reverse buck that then you could say a clamshell door open on this thing. You could just do that. Now you've got that exact inside, so you can put another piece of the rolled out putty onside it, trim it out to the exact right size, and now you've got that exact contour that you can put a hinge on and put your whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So you could, you can use it to make the mold and then also the positive.
Yes.
That's amazing. I never thought about that, but that is very cool. I totally could see why that would be useful already. My mind is spinning with. Do you remember that QF
was a QF11 drone I did from years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I kind of did that with the replacement cockpit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got the right shape, and then I built the thing, and it just sits right down
goodness.
inside. Yeah.
Okay, so Aves, the gift that keeps giving. Okay, the next thing I want to talk with you, Terry, I've referred to you before as Terry with the good Valk. When I first met you, you had this beautiful model of it's the VF4. Is it the G or the F?
I don't even remember. Here it is. It is an old. It's an ancient resin kit.
Was it the yellow submarine? No.
Wave? No. Maybe Wave?
So it was like a 90s kit.
No, it was a late 90s kit, and I think the box got damaged at one point, so I got rid of it. It's super primitive.
Yes.
And I thought, well, if it's super primitive, I'm never going to build it unless I do something different with it, you know?
Yeah, because these were like quite rare. There was no styrene kit at the time. I mean, last year Wave actually finally kitted it?
Yeah, and that's a very nice kit. It builds really.
Can't wait. I do have one. I'm looking forward to it. And I just remember you had this it was mounted on a frame, right?
Like a Japanese crane.
Yes, that's right.
The inspiration was a print of a watercolor of Japanese cranes taking off. You know, gorgeous Japanese watercolor prints.
Yes.
It's like, oh well, I mean, it's birdie, so
yeah, it's awesome because
you got the long neck, and it just to me looked like a crane. So
it's an interesting design for an airplane. Yeah, obviously it's a science fiction subject, but with the canards and just that shape, and
I always has canards.
Yes, yep, they love all that stuff in the cells, and I thought that you had done a Sundowners version too, but I remember it was mounted to the plate. I must have.
That was probably Neil. I think we both brought one. So Neil Prentice, I think, brought Sundowners.
Yeah, but this is beautiful, and I do remember it mounted on. You had a really interesting method of mounting it with the cranes in the background, and I knew you did a custom theme.
I think there were 4 cranes in the photo, and I'm like, the fifth, the missing man formation where it's peeling off from the other 4.
Yeah,
that was
you had it kind of on the oblique, right? Like you had the how can I describe it? Like you had the mount. The mount was like on an angle, correct? And then it was like peeled.
I'll send you some pictures. I'll send you the link.
I'll add it to the notes.
So there's a aluminum pin mounted right back in the tail there, and that's where it mounted. So it was a curved piece of acrylic rod that sat there, and it just sat above,
that's
5 or 6 inches above the piece, above the frame.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was a wonderful job. I mean, it stuck with me all these years. And how was the canopy and the cockpit detail on that kit?
Not bad. Surprisingly, not bad for this kit.
Looks good. I can vouch in person. This was awesome, and I definitely looked at it for a very long time.
It was a good presentation.
Yeah, we know that resin kit, especially of that era, they can be tricky, really advanced, a lot of fit issues or what. The only game in town for such a long time, right?
I've built plenty of kits. I remember I did some museum pieces for the Glenview Naval Air Station, and one was Twin Beach, the Beach 18.
Yep.
From Battle Axe.
Okay. Just low run.
About 1/3 AV's epoxy putty by the time I was done.
AV's to the rescue.
I was measuring against a real one, the landing gear and all that kind of stuff, and the measurements were dead on. Whoever did the masters, they got them right. The thing was just cast badly. It was 90s, really low run. I don't know if Battle Axe is any better, and I have no real curiosity to find out. But
you've done one. You're
I did. Good. Well, I did 2. If I was going to go through that, I was going to do one for me too. So I did one for me. Yeah.
There you go. That's
more
amazing.
Time back then. I don't know.
Yeah. Didn't we all? Eh? I should ask you how are you guys faring with the like stay-at-home procedures and all that stuff?
We're doing okay. I'm working from home 2 days a week.
Yeah.
it kind of feels like a sick day to me because I have no other reference for it.
Yeah.
If I'm out of the lab, I'm either traveling for work or something like that, and it's just there's only so much I can do, but I'm trying to find ways to be more productive and get stuff done ahead of time so I can go into the office and actually physically make stuff, and then
while you're there, try and be efficient. Yeah. Yeah, it's strange times we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's a plague year.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So why don't you give us a quick shop rundown? Kind of where do you work on your models and what do you have handy?
So let me see if I can swap camera views here.
I see a tool chest behind you and lots of goodies on the side there, painting supplies and chemicals and.
Yeah, I know there's a way to swap. Maybe there's not a way to swap cameras.
That's okay.
Anyway, okay, so so a number of years ago, I bought one of these big honkin' tool crates from Sears.
Perfect.
Just full of stuff. Good feature is one drawer is kind of mostly empty, so I can put things in it while they're where they're drying or staying safe. And that's when I say in the video, it's going to the clean drawer. This is the clean drawer.
There you go.
Here, let me.
I have a little cap I put on things like when they're really wet, so to keep dust from settling on them, just like a flipped over box top.
Yeah.
I'll toss on. Oh, we lost your sound.
You got my sound back?
Yep, there you are.
All right. So I guess I'll just have to do it without seeing the frame of view. So this is the bench. I added a set of drawers here from IKEA a couple years ago. Okay. And one of the things I did was I built little shelves in it.
Yeah.
Of paints that I'm using frequently. And there's one up top where glues and stuff are.
Yeah.
And the work surface is a little on the cluttered side right now.
Yeah.
That's like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of current projects in bins right off to the side here.
Yep.
And then there's crap just everywhere,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Got
your reference material,
stuff on the bookshelves.
Yeah. Projects.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, back to paints. Part of the reason I went to AVs.
Yep.
Is back at that iHobby show, you can see paints in jar, just bins full of paints.
Okay.
But Acrylicos Vallejo also would go to those shows. With testers and such, and mostly we were putting testers through the airbrushes. But Vallejo also let us do it one year. They gave us a bunch of paints one year. And then at the end of the show, he just gives the rest of his demo stuff and his inventory, his show inventory, because they weren't allowed to sell stuff. So he was just there to promote. He just gives it to the club.
Oh, wow.
Here you go.
Cool.
And so we're splitting it up and starting to try to learn how to use the stuff and go from there. It was great. So once you get into a system, you tend to stay in that system.
Yeah, it's hard to try new things. Like I remember when Mission Models came out, it sounds really interesting, but it's like, oh my goodness, I'm knee deep into Tamiya and Mr. Color.
Yeah.
And I'm I like the way they work, and for the most part, it's good result. Yeah.
I used Tamiya. I loved the Gunzy acrylic.
Yes. Yeah. Me too. It's my favorite.
I still have a bunch of Japanese colors for Japanese aircraft.
Yes.
And, I ration them a little bit.
But you can get them now. They should not be hard to come by anymore.
Yeah, they're coming back in.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I don't know if any of the local stores are going to carry them or not, but
boo!
But we'll see.
I got lucky in London. We had it's very interesting. Not an actual hobby shop. It was like an anime store that had manga and videos and other like toys, a little bit of toy kind of stuff, like collectible toys. And for
Right.
whatever reason, the guy decided to dive into having Gundam and science fiction kits and anything Gunsy. So he had a paint rack, and I heard about it, ran over there, was like, okay, I'm gonna buy one of every color, slowly over time. But that's my goal, is to get the entire catalog, and I'm on my way there. It is a bit hard to see, but it's got two rows. The bottom two rows are just the Mr. Color, and they do work the best. They just are the most consistent in my experience.
They are.
Between what I have.
And I loved about them is that they had semi-gloss colors.
Yes.
The flat is just so flat. I wind up mixing so much Future into that, just so it is not super flat. But
interesting. You never used the gloss of the brand to make the semi-gloss?
No. I've used the matte medium though. Like they have
base?
that little matte medium. And I've made semi-glosses out of their glosses because semi-gloss tends to cover a little bit better.
Yes. Yeah. The reason I ask is because, I mean, there's a lot of people like to debate about Future. I only use Future for like dipping canopies and lights, like clear bits. I've never used it as like a finisher medium, but I've used like the flat base.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that company's brand, right? You can't go wrong with that. But it's acrylic clear, and Future it's pretty. It's just acrylic clear. There's nothing in there.
Yeah, I've never had an issue. I just go to the brand myself first, but that's interesting that you're using it in these different ways.
Yeah, for a lot of these Model Airs, I'll do it, and it hardens them up a little bit.
Oh, really? Like they're tougher?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you're always going to coat over it with gloss before you're doing your panel lines and all that kind of stuff anyway.
You know what? I haven't not been doing that recently.
Yeah?
I just been okay, for example, so this is the arm of I mean, it's gonna be low res on our video, but this is all Gunsy colors. It's like an Israeli green, navy grays, the yellow is all painted. And I've noticed on several builds that when I've gone over to gloss and then do decals and this and that and then flat, it's never as good as how it looked when it was just painted. And so it was the Aliens APC that I did that it looked so good. I was like, it won't be that good. I have a bad feeling about going any further. So I dug out the decals were the dry transfers.
Yeah.
Put those on, and then I did all my oil paint weathering and rendering, and just like walked away. And it finally looked the way I wanted it to look. So,
especially for armor and some of the more heavily weathered, even like modern aircraft that tend to get really grungy.
Sure,
you can probably get away with a lot of that.
Yeah, but I've noticed that with the Mr. Color, like I've been handling it a little bit. I've been trying to keep my hands washed before handling, and I've also kept some gloves handy. I've been using gloves a lot more, like especially in one hand. This is the holding hand. This one's doing something. Yeah. And it's been, knock on wood, it's been very tough and durable. And it's a lacquer, and
I loved. It's the lacquer one. Yeah, that makes it.
The Mr. Color, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the lacquer-based one.
I did a Vindicator dive bomber a number of years ago, and I didn't have the right colors. It's that Between the Wars era with the bright greens and bright yellows and such, and different colors, and I didn't have the right colors, except some old lacquers, some old Model Master or whatever, Tester's lacquers. Yep. Like, well, I'll use the lacquers. And like airbrushing them, going through. It's like, I forgot how nicely these worked.
Yeah, they just
really great.
lay down and they look good. And it's weird because these were actually, I mean, this would be very hard. You can't see it through our video, but these colors actually say semi-gloss. They're from the Mr. Color lacquer line. And I thought, oh, well, I'll deal with that later. Or when I oil paint it, that can sometimes give it more of a flat effect. But it came out like just right. It's weirdly dull, but like it's what I wanted, so it kind of worked out that way.
Man, semi-gloss is the best.
Semi-gloss is the best.
These were acrylic, or I guess now these. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, if you can, it's worth a shot. But like anything, if you have a good system, you're using model air to do what you want. I mean, then
Yeah.
it's just to keep on going down that road too, right? One of those things. Well, we're just about at the end of our bench to bench here, and I did want to ask you about your various projects because you mentioned the Artemis, that Valkyrie's from a long time ago. So what do you have currently on the go?
So just about finished up. I have to move the Artemis out of the way.
Yeah, it's a great build, by the way.
Yeah, it's coming out really well. And look, decals.
Oh, nice. Did you print your own?
Yeah, because I'm doing vinyl cut masks for this as well. But figured. So if you want to ship, let me know.
Cool.
I'm learning how to use the clunky software. I got to find better software.
I heard I got a clue or a piece of advice from somebody. Said do your decals in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Are you doing that or?
You know what? I probably should. I use PowerPoint for a lot of stuff like that, and then just transfer it into a.
For using, like I did. When the guy mentioned, I had done some before in Word, and it was so brutal. I didn't. I'd like not knowing what to do.
These are cut vinyl, and a lot of the masking I did on this was cut vinyl as well. So I have Airfix's P40.
Yep, beautiful. You've been working on this one for a while.
Yeah. It should have been done a month ago or so. Part of the reason was it came with the wrong prop for that era.
Oh,
and I started looking at it, and it's like, and you can really tell the difference. So this is the early aluminum prop rather than the hollow steel ones that were on later ones, and it had kind of a maroonish brown back to it.
What theater was this plane from?
So this is an AVG. So these are one of the Flying Tigers.
Oh, okay. So this is China?
Yes.
Where was this? Yeah, in Pacific.
So it's one of the 3 AVG squadrons early on. So it's not completely beat to hell yet.
Cool. Wow, that's awesome.
I shared pictures of this with you too. A lot of watercolor, a lot of pastel washes, and staining and stuff. You can see the exhaust rain stains on it.
Very cool.
Got to do a little bit with the canopy yet, but
excellent.
It's a nice little kit. Airfix has been doing a great job.
Yes, we've been hearing such great things about Airfix, and obviously Stu's a big fan, and they're really turning it around, eh?
The markings are masked.
Nice.
I bought Montex. These are Montex masks.
Oh, okay. Yep. People love the Montex masks.
The mouth is masked as well. The eyes and the numbers and such. Those are decals.
Oh, really?
The number 3 I made it in the silhouette cutter. So I made that little 3 out of
nice.
And then printed it, cut it out of Tamiya tape sheet.
Yeah, and then applied your mask. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Did not include the number.
Interesting.
And I didn't. Yeah, it's like, how much? Really? I don't know.
Who knows? Sometimes these things are made by the skin of somebody's teeth.
Yeah. But those are really nice. I want to find that type of vinyl. Also working on just started mostly for the videos and such. I'm doing a Photo Recon Spitfire 19.
Oh, cool. Also with the bubbles.
Yeah.
So is that one of the PRU schemes?
Yes. It'll
awesome.
be all solid PRU Swedish scheme.
Is that the blue
one?
one?
Have a 2-tone, but I want to do solid scheme.
Oh, okay. I always wanted to do the pinky one. I know there was like blue ones and pinky ones. They're like a 2-tone pinkish, or like a dusky color, right?
Yeah.
That's maybe what I'll do.
Some of those. That's like one of the American OD green for aircraft. When it got up into the high UV area in the atmosphere, it got baked. It kind of turned purple.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yes.
Just like really weird stuff. Tons of other things in the drawers here. I've got lots of little people. I do miniatures and such. I've got to finish up a couple of dioramas. I got the Stargate crew here.
Oh, cool.
Among others.
Right on.
They're about ready to go. Lots of miniatures going. I get in the mood. I haven't been in a miniatures mood for about a year. So they're just kind of sitting here. Occasionally I'll come in and do some big work on it, but the detail work, you got to be in the mood to do the stuff,
Yeah, you that kind of Zen patient kind of
Yeah.
mode, right? Yeah, I totally get that. That's awesome. Well, I think that wraps up our bench to bench. Oh, I'll show you this real quick. I know you're a fellow Macross fan, and I'm getting very close. So I have
Yeah.
I had masked these and I took the lights off, and there's like a dome sensor and like a weird mono eye, like an alien mono eye. It worked out really well. Now I also lit the like back thruster units,
Yeah.
and I think it's the same voltage. And I was kind of, these are nice and bright and kind of really catch your eye, but the back is a little bit dinky. It didn't pop out as much. I think I realized what the issue was, that this piece and this were actual clear resin that was tinted red that is provided in the kit from Moscato Hobby Models. And in the back, it's just I just drilled holes and I put kind of like some kind of thruster nozzles over it, but it's just the LED sticking out. So I think once the light, so I just drilled up inside with a bit up into the dome and into the eye, and then stuck the LED as far as I could without getting too close. I was going to wreck the piece. Yeah. And it has somewhere to kind of refract out, and it gives a bit of a brighter effect in the back. It's just, you can see the LEDs, which are kind of bright, but they're like more of a little spot, like a burning spot. So next time I'll have to make sure it has some kind of like domey clear.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. That was my takeaway from that. But I mean, it still works, and they're they're lit anyway. So that's. It is.
I didn't buy that, and I'm still tempted to buy it. Well, it's gone now, right? But
yes,
about the crabs, the little Invid crabs.
Yeah, and those look like sweet kits too. I mean, this is the first Moscato kit that I've actually I'm nearly completed, but actually done. And I have the booster, but I haven't touched it yet. Which was his first kit.
I've got one of those sitting up here. I keep coming back to it, doing a little more cleanup on it or whatever, and then putting it back. And it's like I've seen it done, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah, it's
iconic Macross.
Yeah, for sure. For such a small, such an incidental role, but they're so cool. It's such a great design, and that was his first kit. So I'm enjoying this one. It's definitely not a beginner's kit, but it looks great. It's so huge. It's just it's awesome. The scale of it is incredible. And so, these guys are going to be glued on, but I'm just working on those. And then here's the legs, and I'm just waiting to the end to kind of do assembly on that. It's probably hard to see if I do this.
No. You can just see it.
Yeah, you get a sense of like just how massive it is.
It's not very big, 70 seconds. Oh, it's not very big. It's like, no, it's big.
It's worth every penny big, right? So yeah, well that was awesome. It was really great to catch up with you, Terry. Yeah. And again, we thank you for being such a great friend to the Scale Model Podcast, and it was awesome to touch base. We hope that you and your family are safe and wearing a mask and doing all this, washing hands and social distancing and all that stuff. So
far so good.
Yeah, we gotta keep supporting the community, and you do a lot of cool knowledge sharing for model builders all around. You're internationally known now, my friend.
Well, we'll do more. We'll talk about what to do next. Yes. Maybe whatever comes up next on these. Oh, one more on the bench. And maybe this will be a subject to some on the bench stuff. Some 3D printed
cool.
TIE fighter stuff. So a TIE Defender with that triangular layout, and a TIE Brute, which is an attack plane.
Excellent.
Like a TIE bomber, but it's an attack bomber. So maybe this will be something every so often. Just take some videos when I'm doing it. It's been a lot of work doing the 3D resin, getting them cleaned up to the point where they're smooth and you don't see the
pro lines.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're nice. Ron Gamble does them. They're worth. They weren't that expensive. They're well done. It just takes a little bit of work.
Yeah, that's all.
But I built classic airframe stuff back in the '90s, so
Yeah.
I'm used to a little bit of work.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, those little pieces of effort really result in an awesome build that you can be proud of at the end of the day. So yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again. And thanks for taking some time out to talk with us and talk with me, and take care.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.